Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to the Beyond Bitcoin show. Today is February the 16th, 2019. Strong hand, unconfiscatable. Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin. Personal responsibility is the new counterculture. Deferral of gratification, conviction, deferral of gratification. That's going to be a big one on today's show. Hey, check out the links below. You can get t-shirts like this t-shirt from All Good Lab. These hipsters in New York gave me this t-shirt. So check them out there, linked to below. All sorts of affiliate links and crypto links below. But we're going beyond Bitcoin today. We're going to talk, well, first of all, I want to talk about yesterday's This Week in Bitcoin show. Another must-watch show. You can watch all of my This Week in Bitcoin shows at techbalt.com, TECHBALT. I'm also TechBalt on Twitter. Tawanda Kembo was on, along with the crypto giant, who is a guy who's 7'3", the tallest man in crypto. And we had B Gold Ed on also. But Tawanda is in Zimbabwe, and a lot of you don't know what's going on in Zimbabwe right now. It's beyond Bitcoin, all right. They had well, the government tries to control prices. The government has their hands in everything. Now, this is a different government. This isn't Robert Mugabe's government. This isn't the hyperinflation government. This is what took Robert's place in the last year or two, okay? And they messed with the prices, and gas lines started forming. Gas was too expensive. There wasn't enough gas. Again, this is what you get with, and people were angry, and they started shooting people, and they turned the internet off, so the people couldn't report on what was going on. And like I think the BBC reported on it. On the North American side of things, hardly anyone heard about it. I always research stuff, and I had heard about it. So I wanted to get Tawanda on, and I was happy to get Tawanda on. And so B Gold Edward had a great question for Tawanda regarding why the courts allowed the internet to be turned back on again. And Tawanda said, I can't answer your question. I'm in Zimbabwe still. And it just that really just said it all right there. He is in a situation where he is at risk for saying certain things, and he can't take that risk. So I'm really proud that he came on the show. He's a brave guy, and so are all the Venezuelan guys that have come on the show. I don't know if we can fully understand in the United States the situations that are going on in these under these insane regimes, and we gotta give props to our Bitcoin friends in these countries. Now, I'm very happy, and Tawanda's Bitcoin exchange has now been shut down since the summer because of bureaucracy. Thank God that Tawanda has Bitcoin in Zimbabwe, and Maximo and Gabriel have have Bitcoin in Venezuela. Again, this is what is your insurance against these type of situations. If it gets worse and they have to get out of there, having Bitcoin as a backup gives you some strength to appear on shows like this, and to know that you can get out in a second if threats come and knocking at your door, literally. And they also, Bitcoin as a backup, it gets you to stick around longer in your country. Like I can bear it out longer than other people. I don't have to flee to Colombia, or I don't have to flee to South Africa right now, because I can do that at the last possible moment. Just put my Trezor in my pocket and run across the border. So watch the show. Watch when Tawanda gives that answer. And I don't think a lot of people understood what was going on when he gave that answer. And it's you don't see that every day on a Bitcoin show. We talk a lot about on these Bitcoin shows. Oh, moving money across country lines, getting it out of a repressed country to a good country, or having it as insurance against a repressive regime. Well, I mean, you're seeing it right there, just right there. That instant is like a use case for Bitcoin. when the guy can't even say what he's thinking. Living in that situation, you better have Bitcoin. Anyway, so moving on. So check that show out. Here's a quote by Friedrich Nietzsche. He who cannot obey himself will be commanded. He who cannot obey himself will be commanded. Yeah, have self-control, people. Deferral of gratification, long-term thinking. If you're impulsive, you can't control yourself, you'll end up commanded. You'll end up a servant to the state or to your boss or whoever. You will not be free. So he who cannot, so learn to obey yourself. Self-control, Bitcoin, long-term thinking. Pound that like button. Okay, let's move on to some bureaucrats here in the state of Maryland, where I'm originally from. Baltimore. Right now I'm in Tel Aviv, of course, but yes, I am from Baltimore originally. Saying 73 is the new 50, Delegate John Carden, who's the son of Ben Carden, of course. You see, if you've got in many states, you just have to have the same last name as your father. They elect you. The voters are so blind. Anyway, saying 73 is the new 50, Delegate John Carden. Is he Ben Carden's son or is he his cousin? Now I forgot. Anyway, I get them all confused. Sarbanes is the son of Sarbanes. Is Carden the nephew? It's all. Bottom line, you have the same last name as a relative. You're doing well. All right, you just get elected. It's just a blind election. Anyway, John Carden is pushing for a bill to bump up the mandatory retirement age for judges in Maryland from 70 to 73. So, okay, some judges that he's friends with, he doesn't want them to retire at 70. He wants them to retire at 73 so they can get paid more. And so, well, why not? Why not let them have? I don't think there's that big of a difference between 70 and 73. In fact, I think John Carden and everybody in Maryland, everybody in the United States, it's that has say in retirement ages and pensions should be like, people should work till they're 80. If you are expecting to get Social Security, you shouldn't get it till you're 80. You can't, if you retire from state government at 69, you're not going to get your pension till you're 80. How about that? I like that. Maybe I think 80 is the new 50, John Carden. I seriously, why? I'm not into taxation is theft, obviously, but you can't tax the populace anymore. You're going to have to cut down on the social programs. One of the social programs is retirement pensions for people who've worked for the state of Maryland for 30 years. They automatically, you work for Maryland for 30 years or 20 years or whatever it is. You could be like 45 or 55 and retire, and then they give you money for the rest of your life. No. And then you can get another job with the state of Maryland or state of Pennsylvania, because now you live in Pennsylvania, because you're receiving a pension from Maryland, but you don't want to be taxed by Maryland anymore, so you go to the cheaper state. Anyway, you play your little games, former state workers. I say that if you're a state worker, since that's just a government program, they're all useless. They're useless. Government workers are useless. They shouldn't get pensions till they're 80 years old. How about that? They really shouldn't get any pensions, but because it's stealing from the taxpayers. But if John Carden says 73 is the new 50, so his judge friends can work a little longer, okay, let his judge friends work a little longer. That's great. But everybody else, I say you can't until you're 80. That's when you get your retirement in the public sector. All right, that's or when you get your Social Security that you already paid into, supposedly, or whatever that I'm paying for, or whoever. I'm not, again, value your wealth in Bitcoin. This isn't going to be around. This is why you need to value your wealth in Bitcoin, because eventually the things that you're counting on from the government aren't going to be around. Guys that are my age, we know we're not getting Social Security. I know I'm not getting. That's why I got Bitcoin a while ago. Please, I don't care. I don't care at all about my personal Social Security that I supposedly paid into. Don't give a darn about it. I just know, I understand that was the government stealing for me to pay the Social Security of some like 65-year-old or 69-year-old, whatever it is. I don't know. But I'm just, it's people got to understand. They're going to start, well, we paid into it. We were promised this. We were promised X, Y, Z. But the government lies all the time. So save some, if we have to live under the system. And again, I'm just giving my advice because I'm in the Bitcoin overlay. It doesn't matter what happens. If, AOC becomes president, lowers the retirement age to 45 and prints $1 trillion, whatever, that's great. I'll just go somewhere else. I've got Bitcoin. But I'm saying if they want to be fiscally responsible, yeah, 80 years old. You bump it up to Social Security, 80 years old, that people can't retire, can't expect to get their government pensions until they're 80 years old, all sorts of 80 years old. All right, moving on. So socialism, yeah, it's terrible. These are all socialist programs, by the way. Again, if people didn't rely on this stuff, we wouldn't have all the emotions that surround it now. We wouldn't. All the taxation is theft. The theft that's going on from taxpayers, it wouldn't be going on right now. There would be no social programs. But whatever. I don't live in the past. I live in the future, baby. I live in the present and the future, and I know that future is bright in the Bitcoin overlay. Pound that like button, baby. And again, it's funny. This is the Beyond Bitcoin show where I talk about the issues that other people talk about, but give a little bit of a different spin on them because I've got Bitcoin and I can. Okay, so here's a tweet from Paul G. Whole new worlds grow from tiny deltas of novelty. So again, if you have an idea, a simple little idea that's a little bit different than something that's traditional, go with it, run with it, man. Be in motion. Just because your idea is a little bit different doesn't mean you shouldn't try. Whole new worlds can grow from little differences in ideas, from a new novelty, a little novelty, something that's a little bit different. Maybe you'll make this shirt, but make it green, and that's run with it. You never know. You never know. Just be in motion. I think that it's an inspirational quote. All right, so follow me. Check out disruptmeister.com. That's where you can watch all my old shows. I'm Bitcoin Meister on Steam it. All right, Carl Denninger over at the Market Ticker. He has a good article that's linked to below. Everything I talk about is linked to below, of course. I say the people of this nation should start a new trend. This is him, and demand. It's simple. Make your own darn money and leave me alone or else. Okay, you want to have kids? Fine. Raise and school them yourself. In the world of the internet, there is neither need or value for formal K-12 schooling, great point, or all the overhead involved in providing it. There are multiple sets of online curriculum available online for free. $8,000, $9,000, $15,000 or more per kid per year for 3/4 of a day babysitting service. That's what school is right now. What he just public school is. In one word, no. Therefore, sell off all that land and the buildings on it and remove said clauses from state constitutions. Okay, and he goes on and on and on. And it's great. This is all about personal responsibility, first of all. And make your own darn money and leave me alone. And that, again, yeah, that's what, if you want schooling for your kids, make your own darn money and pay for it or arrange it. I shouldn't have to pay for your kids' schooling. And he's so right. It's become babysitting. It costs $15,000 per kid. Taxpayers have to pay. I mean, everyone, public school is free. No, it costs per kid. It's like $15,000 a year. It comes from the taxpayer. And all the stuff is online now. And again, it's your choice to have kids. You don't have to have kids. And so if you have kids, figure out how to school them. And it brings you closer to your children too. I really admire these homeschoolers and stuff. And there's just so much awesome stuff online now. People are lazy. They want the government to take care of them. And that's the 80% way. And that's why Carl's demand here, or it's not going to happen. But it's good to read. It's a good read. Below. Now, going back to education, an educational topic, I guess, I was thinking about my 4 years in college. And during that 4 years in college, it seemed like a long time. You come in as a 12th grader and then you leave and you can drink, but so much has happened during those years. And now we're talking about 4 years between each halving. It just seems like it goes a lot faster. I think about the year 2015. It seems, it wasn't yesterday, but it seems pretty recent. And a lot has changed, but it's just when you're in the middle of college, things are so slow. And I don't know. I was just thinking back to college days, and it was definitely different. Maybe it's just that you haven't experienced as many years yet at that point. So it's all perspective, but everything seems to go by really fast now. Years go by, but still, there's a new adventure every day. There's a new adventure every day, but it just seems like time goes by faster. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I was drinking too much in college. No, now that life, maybe that's why my time was distorted. But speaking of college, the great Josh Kohout sent $4.99 in the super chat, and he said that's Adam's Husker football fund. And what he's talking about is, we've joked around about on November the 11th, 2023, the Maryland Terrapins, who I help fund because I'm a taxpayer in the state of Maryland, will be playing at Nebraska on that day, the Cornhuskers. And because I have known people in the past from Nebraska, I've always, even though I don't care about sports as much as I used to, I had an interest back in the day, and I've always wanted to go see. I was intrigued by the Nebraska football aura and what happens at that stadium every game day. They really love their team out there in Nebraska. And so, again, maybe I will be there on November the 11th, 2023 to see the Terrapins, who, again, I help fund. And the highest paid state employee in the state of Maryland was the Maryland head coach for football, who they just fired. And he was like paying millions of dollars a year. This is our priorities. The state of Maryland's priorities. The highest paid state employee is the Terrapins coach that gets fired. All right. Very nice stuff. All right. I learned about this term. It's called a lean mass hyper-responder. And this is for all you cholesterol people, all you guys who have a high-fat, low-carb diets. There's some people, well, a lot of people are like, oh, my LDL went down so much. And again, there are different types of LDL, and you got to be really careful. You cannot value your life in LDL and in cholesterol, especially if your doctor says, oh, take this medication now because you have high cholesterol. That's the worst thing you can do. And we'll talk about doctors more. But I've linked to these cholesterolcode.com links below. And there is a special type of person who is lean and athletic, who goes on the high-fat, low-carb diet, and their cholesterol goes way up. A lot of people say theirs goes way down when they cut out the sugar. But there's certain people, he calls them lean mass hyper-responders, maybe you're one of them, a thin, athletic person who does a lot of exercise, and you've eaten a lot you do high fat, and your LDL goes up a lot. And he explains why this is happening and how it's probably not bad. Again, this is the kind of stuff, if you're an athletic person and you are healthy looking, and you're into the high fat, low carb diet, and you got high LDL, you got to do this research. You got to fully understand how your body's working. The more you understand how your body's working, the better off you are. And at that point, you need to go to a doctor. Then you know what specialized doctor to go to. This is pretty much a niche little thing I just mentioned, but check it out anyway. There's a lot about cholesterol on the guy's sites, cholesterolcode.com. But I got two specific links to the lean mass hyper-responder stuff, because I never heard of that before. I've been meaning to bring it up for like 3 weeks now. All right, I brought this up on one of the regular Bitcoin shows. Again, I do a new show every single day on this channel. Conviction, baby. Naval, who has said some controversial things in the cryptocurrency Twitter sphere before. He was on the Scott Adams show, and around the 24 or 23 minute mark is when it really gets good for like the entire time. And he talks about some cryptocurrency, and I mentioned that on the other show, but he also talks about universal basic income. And he says that forced universal basic income, I think kind of what the new Green Deal, or whatever it's called, the Green New Deal is proposing, where the government says it's forcing it. And it's taking from taxpayers and saying the rich have to forced universal basic income is a road to socialism. That doesn't work. But he has some really interesting opinions on universal basic income. That it will naturally occur, and it won't be universal basic income per se. It'll be universal free things. Because we're already living in a time of abundance, and free things will be provided by companies because they will gain something from providing these free things, okay? And regular people will benefit for this, okay? So quality of life is going to go up. Maybe a company will feed you, so you'll be their customer. Okay, that saves you a lot of money right there. That's a form of universal basic income, except it's universal basic free stuff. He does a much better job of explaining, but he does bring up that we're already in a time of well, okay. I want to say this: what is freedom? And they talk about that. If you can wake up whenever you want to, is that freedom? I think that's a pretty simple form of freedom. Like, you don't work for anyone. If you could wake up whenever you want to, that is a basic form of freedom. I don't think a lot of people can say they can do that. I can do that. Most days, at least. Yeah. I can. I create my own schedule. But I mean, that was another subject they talk about. But going back to this abundance thing. Okay. So there's so much stuff out there, so much abundance out there, that in the old days when there was not as much stuff, people were starving. People needed things. They need things. Now we're on the other side where people have to give up things in order to be healthy. Addictions. So many people have to control their addictions. They have too much food. They have too much drugs. They have too much alcohol. They have too much internet. They have too much video games. And people have to it's amazing that we're living in this time. People don't. He framed that in a very interesting way. And so automation and artificial intelligence is not like an end time. People are saying we're getting to this point now where there's going to be driverless trucks, where you're not going to be if you go to a fast food store, there'll be robots there, and everyone's saying, oh, what will all these workers are going to lose their jobs? This is horrible. This is the end of the world. What's going to happen? And Naval puts it's a time of transition. It's not the end. Just like when people had to transition into learning how to read and write in order to have a good job, okay? Eventually, everyone will know how to code or do something that's considered technologically advanced right now. It's just we're at the generation where it's a crossroads right now. So some people are already well suited for the new economy. Some people are not. But eventually, everyone will be suited for the new economy. The new economy, there are going to be all sorts of opportunities popping up that we cannot envision now, okay? Businesses and opportunities are going to come from the artificial intelligence. I mean, and maybe you will be the guy that will be given a free housing and unlimited food from a corporation for working 6 hours a week of artificial intelligence maintenance and upkeep. I mean, that's the world we're getting into. So you'll have a job, but it's just you're going to have different skills, and it might only be 6 hours a week. And you'll be maintaining these machines that will be so efficient and so smart that they will produce an abundance of food and build housing for the employees. You know what I mean? For the human employees that maintain them. I mean, this is where we're going. So again, it's a blip on the radar here. It's a bump in the road. Yet people are going to lose some jobs gradually over time, and sometimes maybe the technology is going to advance a little bit faster, and there'll be whole businesses going out of there'll be a year of the newspapers totally disappeared or the trucking totally disappeared. Okay, but there will be opportunities for these people, and they can learn. And there's a whole new generation of people growing up that won't ever be truckers, that won't learn to be truckers. They will be learning to be other things. So it's a time of transition. Think of it that way. Don't panic. We're entering such an awesome era. We're already at the beginning of it. We're going to look back on this one day and see this as the beginning of automation and of this time of great abundance. And I'm so excited to be alive now. I really am. Now let's go back to Twitter for a second here. I was thinking about this one night when I was trying to fall asleep. I think the draw of Twitter for certain people is that they get a rush out of attack. Twitter gives them the opportunity to attack famous people and to get replies from famous people or for people with huge followings. Like they might not have any following, but hey, I can troll someone with a huge following or someone who's famous, and they're going to respond to me, or I'm going to hurt their feelings, and they're going to see it. They're going to see it. It gives these people, like people who want attention. They want, first of all, I guess they feel bad about themselves because they want attention from famous people. They feel they feel important when bigger people pay attention to them. And who cares if bigger people pay attention to you and respond to you? That shouldn't be your goal in life. Your goal, Twitter, I like Twitter because you can learn so much. People are posting a lot of useful stuff, but there's a lot of people that just like it because they can attack famous people and get the attention and jab at people that are higher up than them, ranked higher than them. And they're not, just because you have fewer followers doesn't mean the person is better than you. You don't need to attack someone and feel accomplished that you've gotten the attention of someone who has more followers than you. Don't play into that game, because I think Twitter wants you to play into that game, because it generates so much traffic from people who are just trolls, who are just and then the famous people do respond, or the people with more followers do respond. It's a complete waste of their time. I don't reply to people. I got people often, saying, "Hey, you said X, Y, and Z, Meister, and I just ignore them, because I use Twitter, and I post my shows on Twitter. I use Twitter to promote, obviously, this channel. To retweet awesome ideas, to get cryptocurrency and Bitcoin out there. And I learn. I mean, so much of my shows, I find stories, original stories that, CoinDesk isn't finding, or who anyone's. Is such a valuable tool if you use it correctly. But it can be it can get you into a doom hole, an out of motion hole too. It's the best of both worlds. I mean, well, the worst of one world and the best. So 20%ers are going to use it correctly. 80%ers are going to just get into this Twitter spiral of doom. So if you find yourself addicted to attacking people on Twitter, I don't know what makes you tick, but get in motion and get away from that. All right, Josh Kohut sent another $4.99 in the super chat. Thank you. Out shopping for wedding rings? No, just thinking how much Bitcoin I could be buying. Well, at least you're thinking about it. I also am thinking about it, and I wish you were buying that Bitcoin instead of that wedding ring, but you got to do it, dude. I hope it works when I visit you in 2023 that she's still there. I really do, man. I like you, but you never know. Some things go away. Some things go. Bitcoin doesn't go away. A lady can go away. So, but Josh, I do wish you good luck on your engagement, and I hope it turns out perfectly. But yeah, of course, I would rather get Bitcoin than a wedding ring. Of course. I'm already way down that road of Bitcoin over wedding ring, definitely. Okay, but again, I back in the day, I had to play. You had to play the game and stuff. But you enter a whole new level when you get yourself into the Bitcoin overlay, and you just fitting in is overrated. All right, so I talked about Twitter. Oh, here's another market ticker article from Carl Denninger. And here he's talking about the driverless trucks. Because he just saw someone saw a driverless truck on the road. Read his article. He says, this is one of the middle-class jobs that is going to be almost completely gone within the next few years. There will still be truck drivers, but they'll all be short haul and local and make much less money too. Okay, that is true, but he also points out that driverless trucks are going to bring down the cost of food and so much for so many people. And I think it's a great thing. And yeah, okay, it is unfortunate. Some people are going to lose jobs, but people are going to stop learning to be long-haul truck drivers, and they're going to learn to be other things in the new economy. You can read that article, though, because I am excited to see that we're not even in the 2020s yet, and we're getting real close to these self-driving trucks. I can imagine when I'm driving to see Josh in the year 2023, when I'm on I-70 most of the way, driving from let's say I'm starting from Baltimore, from hanging out with my family in Baltimore, and then I decide to drive to Nebraska on 70. Then you got to go up to 80, I guess. But in 2023, probably all the trucks that'll be passing me, or I'll be passing, who knows, will be a driverless trucks. That's awesome. We're not far away from that. We're not far away, and it probably will be before that. But yeah, by 2023, it looks like we're gonna be really close to that. Things are moving fast. It is exciting. It is very exciting. Pound that like button. Be enthusiastic, people. That life is an adventure. Okay, I am Preeti tweeted this. Brilliance without discipline is no better than mediocrity. Oh, dude. Brilliance without discipline is no better than mediocrity. And again, I have all told you about my friends I've had in various stages of my life who have been geniuses, but get into marijuana and and other stuff, and they have no discipline. And what have they become? Not much. And so it's you can be brilliant, but you really got to have discipline. You got to have self-control. You got to have long-term thinking. And if you're not brilliant and you have those things, you're going to do well. You're going to do well. So discipline without brilliance is a lot better than mediocrity, baby. Pound that like button. Okay. All right. So finally, let's talk about respect for old people. And do hospitals have respect for old people? Now, my grandmother is 96 years old. You all know the story. She ended up in the hospital. She was very, very ill in the hospital. And they wanted to send her to hospice. They're like, time for the hospice. You know, they milked some Medicare out of her for a week or whatever it was. Now they want to send her to the home so they can charge her or charge you, Medicare, for some incredibly expensive drugs to get her high for like 24 hours until she dropped. Because they had enough. They'd already milked enough out of her. Whatever they want, whatever their logic was. And hospice, and they had the hospice nurse already marketing the hospice to my this is unbelievable. It was almost like a marketing job to my mother and my grandmother. You can be with your family at hospice, or you can here and we can try the operation. It's like the glorification of death of old people. They're big into that at the hospitals. So I've always talked about it. You want to avoid going to hospitals. Okay, you really want to avoid going to hospitals if you're young. And then if you're old, it's harder to avoid it once you've gotten to a certain level of age. And again, my grandmother's intestines, she said she had problems in the past. So the lesson for all you guys is maintain your intestines. But why I'm bringing this up is because, again, this was on, what was it, on January 8th or 9th. They were telling my grandmother, go to hospice. It's the end. They were telling my grandma, they were telling her to her face. It was the end of her life. So yesterday was Friday, November the 15th. And my grandmother was driving her car around Pikesville, and she went to the supermarket like she usually would. She got her food, went back home, made her food. So, whatever. You don't give up. You don't give up. We don't give up, at least. And if they tell you to give up, don't give up. They said for her to go to hospice, and she's driving a car yesterday. So there's a big difference between going to hospice and giving up, and then a month later, you're driving a car. They can make hospice seem really pretty. But what I think is really good is thinking about I talked to my grandma on the phone yesterday. She told me how she drove a car. That's what I like. All right. So be careful of those hospitals. Just because someone's wearing a nice white coat and there's a pretty nurse saying nice things about hospice doesn't mean they're right. Okay. Doesn't mean they're right, because they didn't expect what is going on now at all. And it can happen. Trust me. I know. All right. So that's a good story to end it with. Pound that like button. Bang that bell button. New show here every day. I'm Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, Disrupt Meister. We'll talk some Bitcoin tomorrow after I'm at the Bitcoin Embassy in Tel Aviv. I go there every Sunday. See you guys there, and click on the squares. Stay healthy.